Hello, my name is Ella Kwasnick, and today I will be going over why construction managers should be exempt from the California AB5. So, to start off, I will be presenting arguments against the application of California Assembly Bill 5, also known as the AB5, which is tailored toward the construction managers, more specifically those serving as owner representatives. So the AB5 was passed in 2019 and it was designed to reclassify many independent contractors as employees. This bill was to provide workers with protections like overtime and healthcare and job security. My opinion stands that construction managers / owner representatives should be exempt from these provisions. So, a little bit of background on what is the AB5. So, the AB5 is a bill and it relies on what they call the ABC test. And this is to see if a worker is an independent contractor or an employee. So, to be classified as one of these that I've stated above, you must meet all of these criteria. A being the worker is free from control and direction in the performance of work. B is worker performs their duties outside of the scope of the business. And C, the worker is customarily engaged in establishing trade, business, and occupation. So for many industries, this test is a challenge for independent contractors as they often fail to meet one or even all of these conditions. So the role of construction workers, they are tasked with overseeing construction projects on behalf of property owners and developers or investors. So their role often includes coordinating timelines, managing budgets, licensing between contractors and stakeholders, and also ensuring that all of these aspects of a project meet the legal, safety, and regulatory standards. So, unlike typical contractors who are hired to perform a certain task, the construction managers oversee the entire scope of the project, and this ensures that various trades and teams are working together. So, this requires that level of autonomy and that specialized knowledge, and the flexibility that's characterized of an independent contractor, not so much of an employee. The nature of construction projects is inherently dynamic, and this requires that ability to respond quickly to unforeseen challenges and changes in the scope of work and varying work environments. So, owner representatives, by definition, they work directly with the owner and they're not part of that day-to-day workforce that performs those construction tasks. So they're mainly just there to overlook and to make sure everything is running smoothly. So going back to that ABC list, so starting off with A, we have freedom from control. So the first criterion is what they call the A test. So this assesses whether the worker is free from the control and direction of the employer. So examples would be like a construction managers are not expected to follow the instructions of the contractors that are performing the work, but instead oversee the overall progress of what is going on and who is working on that project. So construction managers operate with significant autonomy, so they typically establish project strategies, timelines, and budgets independently of the contractors who perform the construction work. So this independence aligns with the definition of an independent contractor. So their role is to provide expert advice, make those high-level decisions, and ensure that the project moves forward in accordance with the owner's objectives, which often requires that flexibility and that degree of autonomy that would be restricted under the AB5. So next is B, which is the outside the usual course of business. So this is what they also call the B test, and this evaluates whether the worker performs services outside the usual course of the employer's business. So in the case of a construction management owner representative and they're not performing that typical function of a construction laborer, carpenter, electrician, or any other skilled tradesperson, their work involves management and that oversight. So they have the skills and the responsibilities that are distinctly different from the construction tasks themselves. So construction managers are hired because of their expertise in coordinating complex projects. So the work they perform is not like the core hands-on construction work of a project, but rather the higher level coordination necessary to ensure that all the specialized trades and parties involved are adhering to those standards of the project. Therefore, by us applying this AB5 to them, it's inappropriate as they provide a service outside the standard of the hands-on labor activities that are defined as the construction industry. So for C, this is what they call the independently established business. So the C test requires that the worker must be customarily engaged in an independent business. So construction managers or owner representatives often run their own consulting firms or they operate as independent entities by providing services to multiple clients across various projects. So many construction managers are self-employed and they maintain that long-term relationship with various property owners and developers, which then is demonstrating their involvement in an independent business rather than just being a one-time employer relationship. So these professionals, they maintain that control over how they structure their work, they establish their fees, and they select which projects to take on, much like any other independent business owner. So if we are applying that AB5 to force them into an employee status, it would undermine the very nature of their independent business. So in conclusion, they perform an essential role that requires a high level of independence, which is incompatible with employee status. So they operate outside of the core construction activities and they provide expertise in project management and oversight and not that hands-on labor. So they're typically engaged in independent businesses, multiple clients and projects, rather than working under a one specific contract. So the unique characteristics of the construction management profession, especially the role of an owner representative, is to justify an exemption from California's AB5 law. Socially, politically, culturally, and economically, all these factors converge to demonstrate that enforcing the AB5's rigid classification criteria, it would harm not only the professionals within the field, but also the broader construction industry. As we move forward, I encourage lawmakers, construction industry leaders, and stakeholders to recognize the value of preserving the flexibility in the workforce. By exempting construction managers from the AB5, it would support the continued success and growth of the construction industry by not only benefiting both the workers but also the economy as a whole.